My name is Chase Gardner. Today I will be doing my presentation over hunting. I'm going to give you a full description, a breakdown of mainly hunting in North America, which is things that I know more about. I didn't have to research as much, was kind of help. And I'm going to explain some of the unwritten rules in gun safety and a couple other items as well. Types of hunting in North America, there's quite a few different things you can do between large game, small game, waterfowl, upland hunting, and miscellaneous, which doesn't really take part in the Midwest. That's more down south and places that they don't have the big grain country for animals to get the food that they need. Some of the animals that are hunted in North America, I know around us, the Midwest, white-tailed deer is huge. We're very known for the size of the deer that come out of here. Mule deer, it is part of the white-tailed deer's family. It's kind of like a distant cousin. They get a lot larger, and they're mainly out west, and you see a lot more of these on giant farms. Elk, that's also mostly hunted out west. They're not as populated as white-tailed deer or mule deer are in North America. They're mainly a spot and stock hunt with large caliber rifles, and generally they are a guided hunt, and they are not cheap to do. Squirrel hunting, that's your everyday, that's usually the first type of hunting that people get introduced to while growing up. It's something, it's hard to mess up. They're very overpopulated. You can use a wide variety of guns. It's hard to mess up. Dove hunting is another one of those things that people are introduced to at a young age before they hunt like large animals that takes a lot more professionalism in. Duck hunting is something that has exploded all over the U.S. in the past few years, and this is solely based on social media as well. Social media like YouTube videos, Instagram. It's become a clothing line. It's become a huge hit on YouTube. Everybody loves it. It's very fun to do. Geese, whatever you want to pronounce it as. It ties in with duck hunting. It's also a waterfowl. They are just a lot larger of a bird, slower. They're a little bit easier to hunt, and generally you see a lot more geese while waterfowl hunting than you will ducks. That's just how it is. The population of them, they're not near as fast. They're easier to kill. Gator is something I do not personally. I've never experienced hunting them. We don't have those around here in the Midwest. That's generally that's a Louisiana thing, a Florida thing, down in the southern states and swamp areas. White-tailed deer. Like I explained earlier, the white-tailed deer is the most hunted animal in all of North America. It's one of the only animals that every year is shot in all 50 states across the country. Regulations on white-tailed deer hunting vary in North America depending on the area. Up here in the Midwest, most states you can shoot one buck a year, and depending on the year, the doe tags change. In some counties in Indiana, you can shoot 6 does, and some counties in Indiana, you can only shoot 1 or 2 doe. It just depends on the population report that your prior was given. I'm going to show you some examples of what you can hunt with white-tailed deer. This is more of a home defense shotgun, but this is a 12-gauge shotgun. It is legal to hunt with. It is a smoothbore rifle, and you can't use just your normal bird shot or steel shot or anything like that in a 12 gauge when you hunt deer. I'll explain that. These are 2 different types of shells. This is 12 gauge bird shot. This is what you would use for target practice, shooting clays, squirrels, doves, anything like that. This is a 12 gauge slug. I know you can't see it very well, but this is what you would use to deer hunt with. You can kind of see right there, it's a solid slug inside the shell. It's what you're going to have to kill a deer with. Birdshot isn't going to do anything except anger a deer or possibly injure it where it just dies later on in life and nobody gets anything out of it. Mule deer. Mule deer, like I said out west earlier, you can hunt them with a 12 gauge, and you would use a slug, you would use the same thing, but mule deer are a lot larger. So generally, you'll see people use higher calibers like 45-70s are huge, 300 Win mags. Your bigger centerfire rounds that you can really reach out there for are what you're going to use. They're a lot more skittish than white-tailed deer are, and they're less populated. So they're few and far between, and especially hunting in the mountains out west, you got to have something that you can really reach out with if you want to kill them. But I'm also going to explain now with archery, because archery hunting, the seasons are a lot longer. This is a compound bow. This can be used for anything from white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, moose, whatever you want. It just depends on how close of a capacity you can get within the animal and the hunt, and that's pretty much it. I mean, if you put a broadhead through it, it's going to do the same thing to a white-tailed deer from a mule deer if you hit the vitals. This is a 400 grain arrow. It's made by Carbon Express. It's a decent quality arrow. I mean, it'll kill anything that you want to hunt with. But on it right now is a field point. This is a practice tip. This is what you'd use to shoot before you go out hunting and your deer blocks to get your bow sighted in and everything. And this is a broadhead. This is a hunting broadhead. This is what you would use when you're actually hunting the animal. This is actually, the brain is called Rage. It's an expandable blade broadhead, which means the blades are folded in like that at first when you fire, and then when it makes contact, the tip creates this, and those expand for a lot more cutting capacity, and it just does a lot more damage inside the animal. Elk, it kind of ties in with mule deer out west, except this is more of a spot and stock animal, and the guided hunts, this is what you see all over the social media pages, that people are hunting with guides, and it is not cheap. I do know in the Dakotas and Colorado, an elk hunt between the guide, the 3-day hunt, the tags, the license, and everything, you're looking at anywhere between $3,500 to $5,000. So it is a trophy animal. It's something not a lot of people get to experience to do, especially if you're out of state hunting. And yeah, it's a fun animal to hunt. It's a trophy animal. You don't tag out the whole animal. Usually people take the back straps and the horns off of it, and they leave a lot of the rest of the carcass. Squirrel hunting, this is something, like I said before, it's not a trophy animal by any means. This is kind of a animal you hunt to get introduced into the sport of hunting and everything else. Dove is just like squirrel, except this is a good training tool for if you're going to be doing waterfowl or upland hunting. This is huge because they are a small bird. They're not as fast as ducks, but they are smaller, so it trains you to kind of lead your shot, and it really helps if you are introduced to this as a young age. Duck hunting, like I said before, has exploded across North America. You got the big flyways like the Mississippi flyway. It's very cutthroat hunting. What I mean by that is people are pretty uptight about their hunting spots. They don't like to give up good spots if you find them, because with duck hunting, there's no better decoy than a live duck. So if you can find a hole that's got a lot of birds in it, you got a better chance to draw in more birds. Here's some examples of ducks. These are the mallards. These are the ducks that everybody thinks of when they think of duck hunting. It's the most populated duck in North America. This is a gadwall. They're more of a southern bird. This is a wood duck. This is huge in the Midwest and early season and swampy areas. They are a very fast and very small duck. This is a mandarin duck. It's Eurasian, which means it's not native to North America. There's a couple that have been shot and killed, but is a very rare duck. This is a cinnamon teal. You see a lot of these shot in places like Florida and Texas. It's also a southern duck. It's a very pretty bird. It's a very prized possession. Geese, it ties in with duck. They got the same seasons. Geese hunting goes a little bit longer than duck does, but they're a lot slower generally, and your kids that are getting into waterfowl hunting, this is what you usually hunt for first. Gator hunting, this is just part of miscellaneous. I really don't know anything about it other than what I've researched. I know it's in the southern states, it's huge. It's usually, a lot of people do hunt for a profession and a job. For alligator, their skin is very expensive. These are some of the guns and the charts with the calibers, ranging from a 6mm all the way down to a 38. These are some different styles of the rifles. These are the different styles of shotguns. This is a pump. This is semi-auto. This is an over-under, which is used for your trap and clay shooting. This is a single break barrel, generally people's first shotgun. Unwritten rules of hunting: know your shot, your firing range. You just got to be conscious of what's going on in the woods, what's around you. Make sure you don't get yourself or anybody else hurt. Don't claim things that you don't shoot. You shouldn't steal other people's properties if they already have permission there. That is a good way to get in fights with other hunters around the area, and it's not good for anybody. Gun safety. This is something you should be taught before you ever go in the woods or swamp, anything, wherever you're hunting at. You gotta understand that guns do kill. You can kill people just as it kills an animal if you're not safe. And last thing you want to do in the woods is kill one of your buddies or family members that you're hunting with. The trilogy of hunting. Hunting is something that it can teach many life lessons. It's very good. I think it is personally. I think it's a good thing for kids to get into at a young age. It teaches gun safety so that later on in life they don't find themselves in a tough spot with a firearm that they can endanger themselves or anyone else. There we go. Thank you.